Hello, talking about Mandy today. Have you seen it? I hope so. There's spoilers in this. So with everything going on, you know, the small pandemic we have happening, I've wanted to do two things for a while, and it's given me the opportunity to do both of those things. One is start talking about films on a YouTube channel, and the other is growing an apocalypse beard, which is going really, really well. So today I wanted to talk about Mandy. It's a film I've seen 3 times now. It's good. I remember the first time I watched it, it was 8 AM, which is probably not the best time to watch a film about a guy cutting up demons and cultists with a chainsaw and an axe. But I still enjoyed it, and I've seen it 2 more times since then, one being yesterday with a friend. And after watching it for a 3rd time, I can probably say it's one of the better films around. It's really, really good. Just a little bit about what it's about. It follows a guy called Red and his wife called Mandy. They live a quiet, secluded life in a forest until a cultist, or a cult, sorry, finds and sees Mandy, and the leader demands that he has her. So they summon some demons, stay with me, they summon some demons to go and capture her. They then kill her, and Redwood goes to kill them all. On paper, it's just a relatively simple revenge story. But it is a lot more than that in the sense of how it's made. And there's so many aspects of it that just put it aside, and that's what we're going to go through right now. This is the good parts of Mandy. First thing to talk about is the way this film is shot. It is absolutely stunning. There is not a bad shot in it. The colour combined with the composition, you can just tell this was a big part of the film coming in for the director. You can tell he wanted to make sure this film looked gorgeous. There are too many directors now that overlook cinematography for more thrills in this kind of horror thriller genre, which is understandable, some people want that, but I can appreciate a good shot, and I like it when a director cares about the way a film is composed and the way it looks, and you can tell the Mandy team really cared, and it shines through the film. Is probably the best part of it. And then coming to the action, this film is fucking gritty. It takes a while to get going. You have about an hour of probably, I wouldn't call it exposition, but it's story building up to the point where Mandy does eventually die. But then after that scene, and he goes and gets the Reaper from his friend Carruthers, and he makes a massive axe. I've no idea what the axe is called, but it probably looks like it'd be called, I don't know, the Destroyer, maybe? I don't know, something cool. But yeah, they do so good with just making everything. There's not a lot of, you know, fight scenes. It's a lot of him it's very one-handed, him just killing them all. But the couple of fight scenes that there are, they all happen differently. Like, you've got one that happens with him kind of chained to a radiator, but he managed to pull off a pipe and clog the biker with it. You've got one, a chainsaw fight. That is an incredible sequence. It's got a bit of comedic value as well, which is always good to see. It's hard to blend comedy with something like this, but it's done few and far between, but where it's done, it does work. Obviously, I couldn't talk about Mandy without talking about Nick Cage. He is incredible in this film. The range of emotions he shows, obviously, he's got his Nick Cage charm. Like, at one point, he breaks a guy's neck, and the face he pulls after is quite something. And the ending shot of him in the car looking over at Mandy while he's hallucinating, that's a thing. But yeah, as far as raw emotion goes, it's good. When he's watching this cult kill his wife, the pain he shows on his face while he's gagged in barbed wire is so believable. Like, I don't know how I'd act if I was wrapped up in barbed wire watching my wife burned to death in a sleeping bag, but I imagine it'd be pretty close to that. And yeah, as far as Nick Cage goes, it's probably one of, if not the best film he's done. The premise is something, I've talked about it already a little bit, but I'm going to brush on it again. The premise is so bizarre, but it works so well. You have a gang of bikers who took a bad batch of LSD that turned them into basically demons, and this cult can summon them using the horn of Abraxas to do their bidding, as long as they offer up a sacrifice in the form of a person and a jar of this bad LSD. And then Nick Cage kills them all with a chainsaw, an axe and a crossbow. It's so simple, but it's so unique and good, and the way it's all put together with sound and shots and action, it's just fantastic to watch. It's best described as an experience rather than an actual film, because it is so unique, and there is not a lot I wouldn't give to watch this film for the first time again, because I remember being completely captivated at 8 AM watching Nick Cage stick an axe in someone's mouth. Oh, it's really good. And then when I thought it couldn't offer anything else up, this film also gave us a great score. It kind of starts off like the film, kind of gentle but a bit eerie, and then as it goes on and descends into more meta violence, it matches that as well and switches to kind of a heavy metal guitar, and towards the end it gets really, really metal, but then at the end again it kind of goes more calm again as he drives away from the compound that the cult are at, and it switches back, that kind of gentle drone, and then the credits just play in complete silence, which is great, because after watching this for the first time I had no idea what I'd just seen. I had to really sit and comprehend what I just saw, what I just seen even. And the silence of the credits is great for that, because they know that whoever watches this is going to need a second to think, what in God's name have I just seen? And what you have seen is a great film. But although it is a fantastic film, there are a few gripes I have. These are the bad parts of Mandy. Now, although there are a few little gripes that I do have with this film, that's nothing to take away from it. It is a fantastic bit of cinema. It is awesome. But there are two little stylistic choices that bother me. The first being, there was a choice to make some parts of the film, only small bits, it's dream sequences, but it makes them animated. There are animated dream sequences in this film. Now, I can see it being a way to differentiate from real life and a dream. Yeah, okay, I can see that. But this film had so many other options, because it plays with colour so much. Why not change the colour palette? That would keep you in that kind of real life feel. Again, I understand why it was done, but I just think there were so many other ways to do it. It doesn't work for me. That's just me personally. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I would just rather them either change the colour palette or just not have the dream sequences at all. I can understand why they're there. They're there to kind of show his grief and that he's still hanging on to Mandy, and that's why he's doing all this. But there were just better ways to do it. And the other, while I do talk about the cinematography and how good it is, which it is, it's an extremely well shot film, some shots go on for far too long. That's when it gets to a point where a shot will go on, and it goes on for so long you stop appreciating how good it looks, because it's been there so long. Thing about cinematography, if you're going to do a really good shot, just give it to people for the right amount of time. Depending on what it is, could be a few seconds, could be 10 seconds. If it's something happening in the shot, have it for as long as something's happening. But with Mandy, there are shots of things that are just still, but it goes on for far too long. They're well composed, they look great, but it doesn't need to go on for as long as it does. That's those are my only two gripes with it. Everything else is absolutely fantastic, and I think it's a film that everyone should watch. So, what are my kind of final thoughts? I suppose if I'm going to be doing this more often, which I plan to do, I should probably have a scoring system. And I think I'll probably go for F being worst and A+ being the best. And Mandy on that scale gets a solid A. It is an experience, and even if you haven't seen it but you've watched to the end of this video, I still suggest watching it, because I haven't shown everything. There are still some great bits in it that you should see if you are a film fan. And on Amazon at the moment, it's only, I think it's £4 to buy and keep, and that is an absolute steal for a film like this. So, next film, I've got two in mind. It's either going to be Only God Forgives, that's the Ryan Gosling and Nicholas Winding Refn project. I've just butchered his name. Because I've had a very love-hate with that film, love-hate relationship. It is a film I can't quite wrap my head around. So I'll watch it again and I'll see what I think. And the other is another psychedelic mental adventure with Nick Cage, and that'll be Colour Out of Space. I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. It's what makes me write and try and create things. So to see Nick Cage in an adaptation is quite exciting. So if I do like that, or I really don't like it, I will also do a video on that. And that is everything. If you have watched to the end, thank you. That is very nice of you. I do hope you got some measure of enjoyment out of this, and I will hopefully be uploading again soon.